Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is trainer education, and we're going to be discussing opening your own gym, and this is kind of a part one. So I have a couple ideas of what I want to do for a few parts in this type of series. So this is kind of an introductory, just kind of a little bit about my story, what I did right, what I did wrong, and giving you guys some resources that you can learn from my mistakes and not make them yourself. So if you're going to open up your own gym, how do you do it better than I did? So I've had my own gym now, like Brutal Iron Gym here, for over 8 years, coming up on 9 years. And I've been extremely lucky and blessed that this has become kind of my sole source of income. It's what I do for a living, and it's just freaking awesome and amazing to get up every day and get to do what you love for a living. And not everybody gets to do that, so I do know that I am blessed, and I want to share what I've learned in my journey with those interested, so that way they can have the same blessings in their life. So for me, I finished grad school, so I have an undergrad in health and phys ed. I then went to grad school for a master's of nutrition in a dietitian program. I finished my grad school in the fall of 2010. So kind of December 2010, I kind of like quote unquote graduated. I finished college and kind of completely. So as of right now, I don't plan to go back and get a doctorate or anything. We'll see. Life always throws you fun curves every now and then, so you never know. But when I graduated grad school, I realized I didn't really want to do for a living what my degrees were for. So health and phys ed, I really liked teaching. I love teaching, actually. I just didn't like all the bullshit of having to deal with public schools. So there was a lot of paperwork. The kids were just kind of punks sometimes. And you weren't able to be a teacher slash parent to where you got to tell the kids what they needed to learn. There was just so many political correctness crap in the world that you can't parent the kids, but the parents won't parent the kids, so who the hell's parenting the kids? So it just kind of like was a train wreck there. So I love the idea of teaching. I love working with kids. Just the format of public schools was kind of not what I liked. So when I went to grad school, I got a job as a grad assistant, and I got to actually teach at the university I went to grad school for, and that was super fun. I loved it. So believe it or not, there were still punks in college. People showing up late all the time, wondering why if they don't do work they actually get penalized for it. These were probably the punk ass kids that weren't allowed to be helped when they were in like public school, elementary, and high school. They turned into being punk adults. So kind of ugh to see that happening. But I did love teaching at the university, and I got to do that part-time as I opened up my gym. And it just kind of never manifested or grew into like a full-time thing. I'm actually glad it didn't, because it would have sidetracked me from the business. So in retrospect, kind of like hindsight, it's a good thing it didn't develop that way. But I would have been happy being a teacher at a university. I loved just kind of that environment, getting to share knowledge. And what do you know? That's what I do now in a podcast. So that kind of makes sense. But since I didn't want to do what my degrees were for, and then like a master's in nutrition, like registered dietitian, it taught you how to feed sick people in a hospital. That's a good thing. I'm glad we have people do that. It just wasn't interesting to me. It also taught you how to run like public school cafeterias. Again, good thing we have people do that, but wasn't interesting to me. So there was kind of really nothing in the registered dietitian world I really liked. And also what I found was when I went for my master's in nutrition, I naively thought when I went to school that I was going to learn more about aesthetic and performance nutrition. So how would I eat to make myself look different? And how would I eat to make myself be able to perform differently, good or bad? And in the entire program that I went through, there was one 3-credit class on performance nutrition, but it was entirely aerobic based, and they just promoted you eating a shit ton of carbs, which is part of the equation, but there was absolutely no more to the equation, like about meal timing, about like protein content, and like it was somewhat in there, but it wasn't very organized in the sense of like making it clear cut. So, and there was nothing on aesthetic nutrition, zero, zilch. So there was nothing about a master's of nutrition that taught you how to make people look better based on how they eat. So I was super duper bummed to find out that I went to freaking grad school and finished the whole damn degree and learned nothing more about what I really wanted to learn about. So, ugh. So I was actually very fortunate and lucky to have actually a couple professors as clients. But when I graduated, because even though they knew infinitely more than I'll ever know about nutrition, the science of nutrition, they didn't know nutrition in regards to making themselves look better or worse. So aesthetic nutrition, and they knew some about performance nutrition, but mostly it was aerobic knowledge, not anaerobic. So lifting weights. So I actually had a couple of my teachers as clients because I knew about that more than they did. But like I said, they're infinitely smarter than I am. I'm aware of that. But it was fun to be able to help them in an area that I did know enough to be able to help them in. So it kind of showed me that even though I had these degrees, some things that make your name look good on an email, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So for a living. Now, the whole time as I was going through undergrad and grad school, I was always doing personal training to some degree on the side. So I'd either have a job at a commercial gym, being a personal trainer, and or like a general worker running the front desk and making smoothies and shit. But I was always in the gym setting somewhere. Or when I wasn't, as a direct job, I was always doing some kind of side work, doing like nutrition programming for people, like a training programming for people. So it's something I'd always kind of done since I was 18 years old. So it was a way for me to make money, so I could go hang out with my friends and go drinking water on the weekends. But it was kind of how I paid for fun through college. And when I was going through grad school, I used it as my secondary, so like kind of like an income to make my way through grad school. So when I finished grad school, I had already kind of like an established client base. So I was very fortunate. I had a really good friend who let me advertise out of his facility. I don't think he'll care if I say this, but it was Steve Wayman at Rock Hill Nutrition here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So the guy is freaking incredibly knowledgeable about supplements. He's one of those people that, like, when you talk to him about it, you realize how stupid you are about it. So I have a master's in nutrition, and that guy knows infinitely more than I know about supplements. So I recommend him to everyone. Anybody I ever see client-wise or in the gym or anybody, we always send to him. Just super duper knowledgeable guy and great morals, great ethics for business. So I was able to work for him kind of part-time and get to see the inside of how he did his business, and it's absolutely the most perfect way you can do it. So character-wise and everything. So no wonder he's been successful for so long. But I was able to advertise at his place. He let me put a piece of paper up saying that I was help people with nutrition plans or training plans and stuff like that. So I had kind of an established client base through that and through Winthrop, the university I went through for my grad school. So I had a lot of people I was helping, kind of like I was helping them for money informally, but it was informal in the sense that there was no location. So I found a gym in town who definitely would not want me to say their name because the manager didn't care much in terms of he cared, but he let me bring people in there and train them for money as long as I didn't mention it or advertise it or make a big fuss about it. So it was really super cool that I got to use their facility to kind of like train people. And I realized it was growing more and more, larger than what I'd be able to hide out of their facility. And then I kind of thought, okay, well, I'll just go and see if I can do a personal training director job at a different facility. So I went and interviewed for a head trainer position at a local gym, and they wanted me to. They had kind of been kind of running through owners, and they were in a new owner, and they had kind of their training program had kind of died. So I was going to have to bring new people in, do advertisement, kind of grow their personal training base. I was then going to have to train the people myself, hire trainers, and do all of the work of building the facility, except for having the pieces of equipment. So they already had the gym, they already had the building, they had the equipment. So out of all of the money that I was going to bring them, they wanted 60%. And it was kind of like they wanted, in a sense, 2/3 of the money for having the building and the equipment. And then I was only going to get 1/3 of the money for doing all the shit that brought the money in. So I didn't really like that percentage. So I thought to myself as well, for the amount of money that I estimated that I'd be able to bring them, and I thought about what would be 60% of that. And I figured I could probably just open up my own facility for that much. So I went ahead and did it because I was young and dumb and kind of didn't. I thought through enough details to have some idea of what I was doing, but I didn't think through it enough to realize that I had no clue what I was doing. So it was kind of like you had enough information to be dangerous. So I started, and it was Christmas of 2010. I got a loan, kind of to get the initial cost of the gym started. So, like for example, we have a key fob scanner that unlocks the doors for members. That thing is $2,000 on its own. Golly, you had to bring in the floor. So rubber flooring is expensive as hell. I got to get like a base level of equipment I got off Craigslist, which helped kind of get the gym started. And then I got a secondary loan to kind of purchase the rest of my equipment. So that's what I did. And I did all of that over Christmas of 2010. And then I got started in February 2011. So it was like a month. So kind of go big or go home, I guess. So I kind of had the idea to officially start my own place over Thanksgiving. Then over Christmas, I squared up the loans. And then in February, I got started. So it's been 8 years, almost 9. And I've got my loans paid back. And the business is self-sufficient, so everything's all good. However, that took a shit ton of work to get here. So it sounds really nice when you say it in a one sentence, but it doesn't sum up the insane hours and effort and struggle that it took to get here. But it has, in a sense, within under 10 years, it's paid off, and now I'm making some profit out of it, and getting, like I said, to be insanely, incredibly blessed to get to do what I love to do for a living every day. So I'm very, 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 very fortunate. So I figured in this initial kind of part 1 of the series is I'd tell you a little bit about what I did right in terms of mindset in getting things started, and a little bit about what I did wrong. So I don't want to go into specifics of this, of what percentage of the income should go towards this thing and what percentage of the income should be saved towards that thing. So we can do exact financial type things in a future podcast. But I more so wanted to kind of go over kind of the mindset stuff that helped me become successful and the lessons I learned, and just kind of give an introductory to this. And then I figured if people liked the idea of this type of series, hopefully I'll get some feedback from you guys, get an email or two telling me that you liked this, and if you do, then I'll make more in the future. If not, then oh well, hopefully it was at least a little bit of interesting information. So what I did right about opening this gym was I committed 100 frickin' percent to it. So I took absolute ownership of whether this gym would go or not. And what I mean by that was I pinned the failure of this business 100% on myself. There'd be no bullshit about whether the market was, used up or not, whether it was recession at the time, or whatever other bullshit there was. Everything came down to me. So I accepted 100% responsibility for whether this failed or not. There was absolutely going to be no excuses. If it failed, it was because I failed. And not everybody can respond to that pressure well, and I'm not saying I did respond to it well, but it worked. So, and what I mean by this is I've seen other places where you have to keep an open mind when you're opening a business or running a business to what is all the things that you can do to make the business successful. And you have to adhere to some ethics. You don't want to do everything in the sense of like selling your soul for things, but you do want to keep yourself open to different possibilities. So, for example, there's a gym owner I am aware of. I get myself in trouble sometimes with these podcasts. I don't want to use exact names and things. But there's a gym that I'm aware of that the owner, they opened the gym. So they have a building with pieces of equipment in it. And then that's it. They don't really do much else. So they try to sell some supplements here and there. They want to hire personal trainers here and there. But they themselves just kind of sit up at the front desk and kind of just run the gym. That's it. So, and then they wonder why, like they worry about finances. They wonder why they're not making enough money. And really it's just kind of like they, like for example, they don't train people themselves because they feel like they have a million and one excuses as to why they wouldn't be a good trainer for certain people, or more so in the sense of like why people aren't hiring them, because they don't fit some model of a trainer that this person thinks they have to be in order to train other people. So for example, like I train a wide variety of people. I train, housewives just looking to become less fat, work husbands or work people, guys who work a lot, and their goal again is to be just less fat. So I train general population people. I train people specific for health issues. So now some of this is definitely helpful because I have my educational background. So having the master's in nutrition and some of the knowledge from the health and phys ed degree, it helped me know more about each specific kind of case of a person. But still, in general, most trainers can learn this stuff on their own if they're open to it. So, but like I train regular people just trying to get healthy. I train people with like blood conditions, issues. I train people with nutritional diseases and disorders. I train people wanting to do aesthetic competitions. So I got into helping people do like bikini fitness, figure, like men's physique, class physique, all that stuff, all those categories of things. So I even went through and learned all the posing myself. I even posed in high heels so I could learn what it felt like and where you had to shift your weight in your hips and whatnot. But I went through and I learned all that. I help people for powerlifting. I help people for strongman. I help people for CrossFit. Help people in military preparation. I help high school kids get ready for D1 sports, like scholarships, stuff like that, like get scholarship offers. So I've helped a wide variety of people, and I open my mind to what are the possibilities. So I say to myself is, the only limitation of a client that I would have to work on is my lack of knowledge. Well, guess what? Knowledge is 100% within your control. Read some damn books. Go listen to videos. Go learn yourself. Like go to seminars, go to clinics, go to whatever the heck you can get your hands onto. Go get certifications, if you want that. But knowledge is 100% your control. So if the only thing holding you back from training a certain type of clientele is you don't know that clientele well then holy shit, that's your fault. Go learn it. Okay? So you have the control over that. So when I say I committed fully, when somebody walked in the building and they asked if I could train them for X, Y, and Z, I would always be honest. If they were the first person that ever trained for that, I'd tell them. But I'd also tell them about like say, for example, like I trained somebody for shot put. They wanted to get a better scholarship offers and kind of improve their performance, a high school kid, in shot put. And I said, you know what? I don't know how to throw the shot put. But I know the muscles that are involved. I understand the body systems and the mechanics that are needed for that type of movement. So how about like let's work together, and if a certain amount of time, a certain amount of like weeks or months, you don't see results, then we'll kind of part ways. But I know I can get you stronger. I know I can get you more explosive. I know I can get you, better strength in this area, in this area, in this area, better flexibility, mobility in this area, this area, this area. So all related to throwing the shot put. So I was honest, but I certainly didn't say no. I wasn't going to say, oh, I've never done that before. Take your money elsewhere, please. So it was, no, I've never done that, but I do know what it takes. I know the understanding of the basics of it. And what do you know? The person did freaking awesome, and, it's been good ever since. So, but that's something you have to do is take ownership of over whether you're going to be successful or not. Don't rely on any excuses whatsoever. If you make sure that everything is your fault, then that means that you always have the control of changing it. If you blame other people, you are giving the control to the other people. If you blame something about society or the certain time of the year or other kind of bullshit people come up with, you're giving control to those things. You want to keep as much control over your future as possible. Therefore, you have to keep as much control of the blame and the responsibility. So everything is your fault. Now that sounds really aggressive. However, it helps. It's actually a good thing. If you believe everything to be your fault, that means that you have control over everything. Okay? And we'll talk more at the end here about resources that I'd suggest you go read and learn about. And you'll learn more about why I think that's true. So an example of kind of doing everything, committing to everything, but keeping your ethics. So like I said at the beginning, like one of my best friends, Steve, owns a supplement company. So I remember like whenever I used to work for him, like some gym would open up, they'd sell some kind of bullshit low base level type of quality of supplements with like a 3,000% markup and basically just try to screw their members by selling them crap and try to make extra money off them. And we could see that happen in every freaking gym. And it was kind of a bummer because they were just taking advantage of people. And then there was Steve, who was willing to tell people the truth and be honest and sell them the best stuff. But people never got to him because they got ripped off by the crappy, selfish owner who didn't have any ethics. So when I opened my place, there was no way in hell I was going to do that to my best friend. So I did not sell supplements, and I still don't sell supplements to this day because I am not a supplement salesman. So Steve knows way more than I do. I'm a personal trainer and a gym owner. I don't want to be sidetracked with selling supplements because that's not my area of expertise. It's not what I'm passionate about. I don't devote myself every day to learning more about supplements. So that's not my field of passion and knowledge. So I know a good bit due to the Masters of Nutrition. I do know a lot about supplements, but I don't know it as well as somebody like Steve would. And I'm not as passionate about it as somebody as Steve would. And Steve's only freaking like 1 mile up the road from my business. So there's no way in hell I'm going to screw over my best friend. So there were times in the first couple of years of owning the gym where I'd wake up with a negative bank account. In the morning, I'd get a notice from Bank of America that says basically you are screwed, and then here's some anxiety for the day. And then basically you'd have to kind of figure out how to make money. But I never wanted to make money by screwing over my best friend. So it wasn't going to happen. So I didn't do it. So no matter what happened with business, I wasn't going to sell things I didn't believe in. I wasn't going to do things I didn't believe in. So in my opinion, I kind of decided right away that I would do things the right way as defined by me. So you have to kind of define that yourself. But I was going to do things, quote unquote, the right way, even if it meant I went out of business. So the business surviving wasn't more important than my character surviving. At the end of my life, I'm going to be left with me, okay? Not this business. Now, hopefully this business follows me for a long time and I get what I need out of it and it serves a lot of people well. But who I am as a person, my character, means a hell of a lot more to me than whether I stay in business or not. I will lose this business 100 times over before I would sell my soul, okay, before I'd lose my character to it. So that's something that I would highly suggest that you define right away. So where are your kind of like, what are the things you're open to? And then what are the things that you will not cross, no matter what? Now, for example, I don't believe in like selling people like meal replacement. There's protein shakes that are super duper awesome and they're helpful and they're healthy, okay? But then there's people who try to sell you like this greens supplement for like $80 a month when you could just eat some kale and broccoli every day for like $5 a month and get just as healthy. So there are those like kind of pyramid scheme things where like I'll go to this company, buy $1,000 worth of stuff and then sell it to all my friends and family for $2,000. That's not really like the greatest thing in my opinion, because if you could get it at a lower cost and you're marking it up for friends and family, you're going to make, gosh, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with that. Now, I know a lot of people do that, and I'm not knocking on you in the sense of saying you are wrong, but it didn't feel right for me. So now I am charging friends and family for my knowledge of nutrition and training. That's true. So there are sometimes, a friend of mine needs a nutrition plan and I'll charge them for it because it's going to take time away from things that I could be making money from otherwise. But I also do a lot of free stuff. So like this podcast, I do a lot of other like help that not everybody needs to know about. But I do other things that make me feel comfortable with what I do charge for. So it's kind of finding balance. Somebody could look at my life and disagree with the way I do things. Just like I'm looking at those shakes and pyramid scheme things and disagree. So to each their own. But the point is you need to decide what are you okay with. And then make sure you stick with that. If you open up your own gym, you 100% will have financial trouble. There will be tough days. And you have to decide that no matter how tough of a day it is, you're not going to cross this line. So it's important to decide on what those lines are before you start. So that way you already have your decision made when those tough moments come. So in your moments of desperation, it's hard to think clearly. It really is. So before you get desperate, make your decisions. That's really helpful. Okay. Another thing I did that was very successful for business was I read books and talked with other business owners as much as I freaking possibly could. So once I opened my business, I realized, holy shit, I don't know enough. So I know everything I needed to know at that time to be a good trainer, and I've continued to learn more, of course. But I was a good trainer, but I wasn't a good business owner. I didn't know about the financial aspects of things. I maybe didn't understand how to deal with people who didn't do things the right way. So when people would come into the gym and they would not clean up equipment, they would just come into the gym, use shit, and then leave. That left me absolutely incredibly dumbfounded that somebody would like that people did that. I didn't think that that was a thing that people regularly did. I didn't think a good person would come into the gym, use 5 or 6 pieces of equipment, not clean up anything that they touched, and then just walk out and have a clear conscience. So holy shit, that surprised the hell out of me. So I had to all of a sudden make rules for the gym, which I didn't think were absolutely necessary. Like, hey, put your shit away. I can't believe that that actually needs to be said. And then what happened due to that was I had anger. So all damn day I spent picking up after adults. 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 I had to clean up their shit as if I was cleaning up after a kid. So I was just pissed off all day. So I had to learn anger management, believe it or not. So I had to read a bunch of books about how to deal with people. So how do you accept certain things that don't seem to be going away? How do you not let that anger eat you alive? Because the more angry you are, the less likely you are to respond to people correctly and in a polite and loving manner, even whenever they're like a good person. You'll kind of just think like if you got screwed by one person, you're going to think everybody's going to screw you. So then you start being an asshole to everybody, which isn't fair. So anger management, learned a lot. How to communicate with people. So when I wanted somebody to put something back, rather than going, hey, asshole, put that back, it was probably better for me to say, hey, you know, for this gym to flow well and for everybody to get the best experience, we like to have everything organized. So if you don't mind kind of putting everything back exactly the way you found it, it just helps everything go better for everybody and we all have a better experience. Yeah, that sounds lovely, and I wish, hey, asshole, put that back worked better, but it doesn't. So I had to learn a lot about dealing with people. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people won't think of, maybe before they open a gym, is you're going to have a lot of communications with people that way above what you're probably used to. And you're going to meet a wide variety of people that don't have the same focus points in their life as you do. So it's going to be extremely necessary to learn how to communicate with a wide variety of people and learn how to communicate when you're mad, but still in a loving manner. So I had to read a lot of books about that. And then I had to read a lot of business books about like structuring business ideas, like passive income versus active income, organizational things, time management, energy management, whole bunch of stuff. So that was something that I'm lucky in the sense that it's highly interesting to me to learn how to live life better. And as I found for myself is as I grew who I was in character, the character and growth of my business increased as well. So I think that's a big thing that you have to do is continue to grow yourself. Okay, become better in your time skills, your energy, time management skills, energy management skills. Become better in your communication with others. Learn how to deal with your own personal shit better. So the more flaws and character crap you bring into a business, the more your business is going to reflect that. So you have to clean up who you are on the inside before you want to clean up the outside around you. Okay, meaning your business. So that was something I think that I was luckily naturally embraced and found interesting. So that's definitely something I'd recommend. And then kind of the other things I think of when you open up your own gym is don't be afraid to turn people away. So this was something that helped a lot for me in terms of developing a great environment in the gym, was making sure I didn't say yes to everybody who offered me money. Okay, so hold on real quick.